The Republican replacement to Obamacare is dead yet again. Another major failure on the growing list of embarrassing and pathetic failures for both Donald Trump and Republicans. Dozens of House votes to repeal Obamacare under President Obama, when, of course, there was no chance that it would actually be repealed. A year of campaigning by Donald Trump and Republicans on repeal and put in a beautiful system that would happen right away. And failure after failure. This is the second or fourth failure, depending on how you're sort of counting them. Mitch McConnell wanted this done before the 4th of July. That didn't happen. Then he wanted it done before the August break. And it is dead once again. And why is it dead? It has nothing to do with Democrats. It is because Republicans who realize that legislating is tougher than campaign rhetoric have decided, at least a few of them, not to support this thing. Republicans Mike Lee and Jerry Moran joined up with Rand Paul and Susan Collins to oppose the bill. And then the math just made it impossible to even start debate on the bill. And the math is simple enough where even maybe Donald Trump could understand it. When you have 52 Republicans and 4 of them won't vote for it, you can't get to 50%. It's the simplest of math. And why is this happening? Because you can't move to the right from the Affordable Care Act and improve our healthcare situation. You can't increase access and reduce cost when you go from Obamacare to the right. Now, that being said, the Republicans that oppose the bill in the Senate mostly oppose it for the wrong reasons. Senator Morgan is against it because it only partially repeals Obamacare. Fine. I mean, I agree with opposing the bill, but that's not really a great reason to oppose it. Senator Lee said that the bill doesn't go far enough in lowering premiums for middle-class families, and it's not separate enough from Obamacare. Rand Paul is similar. He said the bill is basically Obamacare plus in some areas, so I can't support it. And Susan Collins had sort of the most reasonable reason, which is she wants to see a CBO analysis that's not as bad as the one that they got. What about seeing a CBO analysis that's good? Like, why would she support it if it was a less bad CBO analysis? But anyway, I'm glad that they're not supporting it.
And really, that list of Senate Republicans who opposed this bill was more than 4. Those were just the 4 that came out publicly.
Right.
It was probably something like 10 or 15. And I'm just confused because I remember after the House passed their version of this bill, Donald Trump had that big Rose Garden celebration.
Yeah, big celebration.
And he even said that if the Senate couldn't pass the American Health Care Act, that they would look like dopes.
And they do, obviously. Now, the question about whether they'll be held accountable for that dopishness is a different one. We'll talk about that later. What options exist now? They could try again for another repeal and replace bill. They could acquiesce to keep Obamacare, but make changes with Democrats to fix it. Or they could try to just get a straight Obamacare repeal and then try to deal with a replacement later, which Donald Trump has mentioned now a couple of times. Now, working with Dems to, quote, fix Obamacare is risky in a few ways. One is the ways that Republicans want to fix the Affordable Care Act are actually a disaster. Everybody likes the provisions of the Affordable Care Act, but not everybody likes the mandates and the taxes, and you need the mandates and the taxes in order to pay for the stuff that people do like. And it's also risky politically, because if you do negotiate some improvements to the Affordable Care Act, you then risk the political implications of allowing Republicans to say, hey, we improved Obamacare, which would really be a drastic distortion of the truth. It would be you utterly failed to get done what you promised dozens, if not hundreds of times, and you managed to convince Democrats to give you a couple of things.
Well, I think this tactic of just repealing Obamacare could actually work for them because then you still get those votes from the very right wing of the party, the Ted Cruz's, the Mike Lees, and you can afford to lose 2 moderates. And then in that vacuum, when there's a 2-year transition period, you can appeal to Democrats because they'll be guilted into it because everyone will realize that pretty much any alternative is going to be better than the pre-Affordable Care Act era.
Sure. Once you make the new status quo, Obamacare is gone and potentially 32 million people lose care, then you create much more of an impetus to actually do something. And Trump has been pushing that vote on a repeal-only narrative. I told you about his tweet a few weeks ago. He also tweeted about this last night. Donald Trump tweeting, Republicans should just repeal failing Obamacare now and work on a new health care plan that will start from a clean slate. Dems will join in. That was yesterday. Previously, Donald Trump saying, or actually, no, this was earlier today. As I have always said, let Obamacare fail and then come together to do a great health care plan. Stay tuned. This could be a blessing in disguise for Trump and Republicans because obviously, healthcare wise, it's good to keep Obamacare if the alternative was the AHCA. But politically, it's less likely that Republicans will be damaged from failing to keep this promise than the damage they might suffer if 22 million people lose coverage. So even though it's a loss from a political perspective, it might actually be a blessing in disguise for Republicans. Not one that I'm cheering, by the way, just pointing it out.
It's very, very hard to take entitlements away from people. I mean, maybe there was initially some opposition to the Affordable Care Act, but now that it's been implemented for 7 years and people rely on it, good luck taking that away from people in rural areas across the country.
There is H.R. 676, the expanded Medicare for All bill. It was proposed by House Democrats in January. It's available, I'm just saying. The video you just finished watching was made possible by you through the membership program. You can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We are viewer-supported independent media. You can use the coupon code IVoted17 for a 40% discount off of your membership.